Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Good morning, good morning. Oh, wait, Cindy's saying it doesn't work on Spaces? Really?
Oh,
Okay,
wait, really?
screw this. All right, screw the Spaces.
I heard something a little bit ago. Yikes. It's always Twitter
Sorry
Spaces.
about that. Yeah, don't worry about it. Just screw the Spaces. So what's going on? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I see you're not in the Monerotopia studio.
No, we're on the road. We're at family wedding.
Nice.
The show must go on. What are we doing today? What do we got? So we'll do.
So we've got everything.
Who do we have as guest today?
Hundehausen, if I said that correctly.
Yes. All right. Yeah, I haven't spoken to him in a while. And he just developed something new, correct?
He did, yeah. He developed XMR.Guide, which is a cool little website that lets you quickly generate a Docker Compose file, which lets you easily run a Monero node on any Linux-based system, specifically for Ubuntu.
Very cool.
Yep.
Okay, very cool. We'll get to that. And do we have Tony for news?
We may or may not.
We may or may not. It's always a mystery. All right, well, let's kick it off. Let's get started with price report.
All right.
I could get back to the festivities over here.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Local Monero. Avoid using KYC exchanges. Buy and sell Monero directly for fiat, peer-to-peer.
Good morning, Bawdy.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yo, buddy.
Good, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. Not super prepared for the price report, but that's because nothing happened with price. I guess the stocks kind of went down, but yeah. Where you? If you don't mind me asking, where you at? You said you're on the road.
Yeah, I'm in Virginia.
Okay.
Which isn't too far from New York, but it took us 8 hours to get here because I don't know if you guys saw in the news, New York got walloped with a storm yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw videos about that. That's insane.
We drove through it. It took us 2 hours to get from
Are you serious?
out of New York. Like almost 3 hours to get out of New York City. We live in Queens, and it took us. I mean, we obviously didn't leave at the best time, but we had to leave at that time to try to make it. It ended up being like probably the worst moment throughout the entire year to have to drive that route is the time that we decided to drive it. But yeah, other than that, it's been great. It's been great.
Well, cool. I'll go ahead and try and speed through this so that you can get back to the festivities. Not really quite sure where to start. Maybe let's take a look at the NASDAQ and global liquidity. So these are stocks right here. And then we're looking at global liquidity. So the white line is global, and then the green line is just the Fed or just the United States. We could hypothetically, oh, we are including M2SL. Okay. I typically don't include M2SL because it's so delayed. And we get the Fed balance sheet numbers every week, and we also have the reverse repos. So both of those kind of factor in. As liquidity goes up, you kind of expect there's more money sloshing around the system. So you kind of expect risk assets to go up. So global liquidity has kind of been stepping its way down. And it does seem like global liquidity did lead the stock market, or at least it was closer, more in tandem with the stock market when the recovery happened late last year, early this year. Right now, what we're seeing from the US liquidity situation is kind of a big drop off. So the combination of these signals right now would suggest that the stock markets are, at a minimum, probably not going to get to a new all-time high. I personally think that, again, the thesis is that we're going to keep going down through the end of the year. Doesn't mean we're going to have a major crash, but you know, it could happen. Looking at the yield spreads, so overall yield curve inversion is these two red and pink lines on the bottom. The difference is that I forget which one is which. One of these is like just the smaller set of yields that have existed since like 1961. And the other one is basically all of the yields that they added after like 1981. Anyways, you can see that the yield curve is starting to almost come back to the 0 point. We're not seeing a big spike up, but this is kind of like an early warning sign that there could be a recession sort of headed our way. Next year would probably be the year to think that it could happen. Again, the other thing that I really want to see here to think that recession is getting imminent is these short-term yields to be below the federal funds rate. So if the Fed bumps rates here in a month or two, and it's up here and maybe these yields fall some, that's sort of like confirmation that we might be headed towards a recession. Let's see here, dollar index. We talked about this last week. I said that this line, this horizontal support, was probably a place that, you know, we might see some resistance, but no, it just kind of pumped up anyways. We've been seeing a little bit of erratic action from the dollar as of late. When it crashed down here, did this crazy thing, faked out to the downside, and then came right back up. That could be insiders. The dollar is such a huge market, so it's hard to think that like which insiders could actually move the market like that. But either way, we do seem to be having finally a little bit of resistance here with that one red candle, but we'll really just have to see on this one. Like I said, this thing could just kind of move all the way up here to the upper standard deviations. The dollar can just be unpredictable like that. I really do think that at a minimum, if the dollar doesn't take a pause right now, right, and hang out in this area, this upper standard deviation cluster in combination with this pleb line, that should be a very good spot to expect resistance. That's probably a very good spot to take a short if you're a Forex trader. Let's see here. Oh, we need to talk about gold. So gold, I've kind of been hesitating on because, you know, if the markets are going down, gold tends to meander on down with it. But at the same time, so I'm in some stable coins right now. I don't like it. I especially don't like, I have some Tether. Because I'm, you know, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I don't want to be exposed only to USDC. I don't want to be exposed only to Tether. I am liking the situation with Binance and Tether and all of that less and less as things go forward. That doesn't mean I'm calling for them to go bankrupt. So no haters, please, out there be like, oh, you're just a Tether truther, right? You're Tether X or whatever. But I am looking to get into a gold pegged coin. I think PaxG is probably like the most popular one. That's probably the one I would go with. But I didn't quite want to do it yet because the chart, you know, it does kind of look like, hey, we've got this very long-term rising support. And I kind of want to get into this zone down here before I buy. That seems like the most ideal scenario. But you also have to realize, like, what is this? Like 8% down? That's like a Tuesday for crypto. So that, you know, gold is stable. Again, like the idea of being in gold is that it's a stable asset that shouldn't have too much downside, but does have the opportunity to pump at some point here. So I'll probably start picking up some PaxG, getting out of those stable coins, or at least limiting my stablecoin exposure in terms of USDC and Tether. Probably try and stay in DAI, although DAI is also intimately connected to those markets. So yeah, that's gold. Let's take a little bit closer look at the NASDAQ stocks. Go ahead.
What kind of pump would you potentially expect on gold? I mean, how high could things possibly get?
So one comparison that I'm really liking, that I really like at the moment, is the comparison to the 70s and the 80s, particularly the 70s when gold pumped like crazy because inflation was high. I think we're looking at a very similar situation. I think gold has a lot of catching up to do in terms of, you know, how much the inflation has hit. Overall, the chart is set up in a very long-term scenario. So this is weekly. Let's go to the monthly. It's just easier to see on the monthly. So we've got like this very big rising triangle right here. And, you know, this thing really, you really expect this thing to pump to the upside. and targets on this are somewhere around the range of 3,000. So the other thing let's go back to the daily. Okay, so these purple lines, they're kind of like this statistical concept where you take the standard deviation of the standard deviation. It's kind of a weird concept. The blue line itself is standard deviation, and then the idea is that we're going to, for whatever time period this is, I should say this is the moving standard deviation. Just like you have a moving average, you have a moving standard deviation. So you take the standard deviation of this blue line, of the actual standard deviation, and then you add that on top, and that's what you get the purple lines. And what's crazy is that you get like very good predictive capacity at blow off points. So for example, like the 2011 blow off was just this statistical level that just so happened to work. And I see this on charts all the time. So anyways, my target right here would be, right now, that would be about 3,000, right? 3,200. But as this moves on into the future and starts going up, this purple line is also going to start going up. So we could be looking, like, honestly, we could be looking at $3,000, $4,000 gold. That would be my target. And I would expect that to happen right as the next bull market starts to kick off. Like as stocks, so you would see gold move up, stocks would kind of recover, gold would bounce big, and then stocks would start moving up, and then gold would peak as stocks are moving up. So somewhere in that range is where you kind of want to bounce out of gold and into stocks. It's got to play it by ear. You got to do some estimations, whatever. But ultimately, this chart looks like it's going to end somewhere in the middle of 2025. Almost always, these kinds of rising triangles break to the upside before you actually hit their intersection point. So I would really expect gold to break out sometime next year, maybe the middle of next year, maybe the end of next year. But sometimes gold just does, price can do whatever it wants, right? I'm just some dude here looking at lines and drawing some pleb lines. Price can just shoot to the upside for any reason, that we might not know about. So hopefully that kind of answers your question in a roundabout way.
Definitely.
One thing that happened, I think it was Thursday. Maybe I've got the day wrong. The Bank of Japan opened a bond buying window, but it was just for like $2 billion. Actually, it was Thursday night that news came out, and then yesterday, stocks like gapped up. They opened higher, so this was Thursday right here, and then stocks opened up here. So they opened about 1% higher, which for the Nasdaq is pretty significant. That's a big move. That's a big gap to the upside. So I think what happened is that the news was like, oh, Bank of Japan, central bank intervention, et cetera. And then people were like, oh, wait, it's only $2 billion. And so then basically after gapping up, stocks just came back down. So overall, you can kind of see the chart structure here, where NASDAQ is basically back in this trend, back in this channel. I think that getting out of this channel was kind of getting ahead of itself. To me, this is a very clear head and shoulders pattern, and it's basically confirmed. It's broken down now below effectively this line right here. So right now it's kind of like playing at that resistance area. My personal opinion is to expect this thing to move to the downside of the channel. That should happen within the next month or so, probably sooner rather than later. The S&P looks like it's holding on just a little bit stronger, but not quite. Or I'm sorry, I had that backwards. The NASDAQ is holding on a little bit better than the S&P. As you can see, the S&P is kind of already broken down its neckline, and it hasn't even gotten above it. So we could maybe try and draw some lines down here, something like that, potentially. But ultimately, the downside target from this head and shoulders on the S&P would be this level right here, so right about 4,000. So it doesn't have to get there immediately. Stock market often can take its time getting places, especially to the downside. So yeah, just know that that's out there in the cards. This chart, so this is the NASDAQ divided by the S&P. This chart looks slightly bullish to me. Although typically you don't usually see with the wave magic, you don't usually see it come from the bottom of the lower standard deviation all the way to the top of the upper standard deviation and then just keep going. That's typically not what happens, but the stock market gets special consideration for being highly optimistic. So as you can see, this has just kind of been flat here. I would really personally, I would like to see this go to the downside. This looking slightly bullish would maybe be a counterpoint against the notion that stocks are going to move down through the end of the year. But who knows? Maybe people are just optimistic and they're just going to stay in tech stocks. One thing that might happen towards the end of this year is, so if you remember last year, we had a big bear market. People in December sell their losers so that they can write off those tax losses, and then they rebuy in January. So you get the January effect. There's a big part of why things moved up so strongly. So we might get something like that towards the end of the year, especially if stocks continue to meander on down, if everything kind of just like keeps falling through October and November. You'll probably see people sell some stocks, take some losses. It won't be a massive effect like it was last year, but there's the possibility that it could be an effect. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. We've got that Bitcoin has basically broken out of one of its sort of near-term falling triangles. So this line right here. So, I mean, you can see that's a pretty clear line to break out of. It looks like it wants to, but it's also got sort of this longer term, this lower line right here to deal with. So there's just like one thing that's developing in this chart is you can see I've got all these stupid lines drawn everywhere, and it's just messy. So Bitcoin has kind of all these levels. It's got these resistances everywhere. It's kind of got these supports. So it's like, I wouldn't really trust the pleb lines on this chart too much. But for the meantime, like that is like mildly optimistic. At least it's like above some critical levels. So Ethereum, Bitcoin, we've got this continuing downwards, this descending wedge, and so kind of bounced off sort of near the lower range there. Again, just expect this thing to keep meandering down until the next bull market hits, and as soon as that next bull market starts to look at least optimistic, this thing will probably break to the upside. Of course, XMR BTC, but I just got nothing to show you here. There's nothing happened. The XMR BTC chart is still just chopping sideways. So yeah, I mean, we're coming up to the end of this sideways chop sort of range here in the middle of November. I'm kind of surprised, maybe not surprised, but I kind of would have hoped this thing would have broken to the upside sooner rather than later. But at the same time, it does kind of look like crypto is hanging on. Interestingly, stocks have been negative while crypto has been just ever so slightly positive. It's almost like stocks and crypto are slightly anti-correlated at the moment. Maybe not anti-correlated, but like just ever so slightly. Okay, so here's Monero USD, flat, nothing. We're just hanging out in these lower standard deviation bands. It does look like on the short term, we have kind of broken this down sloping resistance line. So there are kind of like these little cracks of optimism at the moment in the crypto ecosystem, which is interesting because stocks don't look so great. During the bull market and especially during the bear market, we talked about how stocks and crypto are correlated, and it's kind of this risk on. If it's risk on in stocks, people go into tech stocks, which is the NASDAQ, and if it's risk on in tech stocks, then you got tech stocks on steroids, which is crypto. So people pile into crypto even more, and then that gets front run by the exchanges and the insiders and the market makers. So you get these big parabolic moves in crypto. Right now, over the past, let's just say 4 to 6 months, we've seen the reverse. We've seen where stocks will go up and crypto is flat or slightly negative, and now we're kind of seeing where crypto is flat and slightly positive, and stocks are stocks are going down. So that's just an interesting thing that's happening. Okay, let's take a quick look at the stablecoin situation. So in orange, we've got USDT, and then in blue, we've got USDC. So you'll notice that after the first, really like what I consider to be the real top, this isn't really a higher high if you adjust for inflation, because the inflation had already started hitting. Regardless, you saw the stablecoins continue to rise even after this top, and even after the secondary top, we still saw stablecoins continue to rise in their market cap, which I think is kind of interesting. I wonder if that's was kind of them trying to keep the bull market going, trying to restart the bull market, and just kind of couldn't. But anyways, Bawdy on that 2008 Call of Duty. I'm on my cell phone today, so I've got my Shure microphone plugged into my cell phone. So, well, I don't know. I guess I'll have to listen to this and see if it sounds different. But I'm definitely not on a headset. So
he might be referring to me. I don't know. I'm rocking a headset.
Okay, today. You meant to say Doug. Gotcha. Wait, really? Are you on your Call of Duty or Halo, Mike?
No, I mean it's no. We bought this just for the road, but yeah, I guess it does look reminiscent of a Call of Duty style.
Gamer. Yeah, don't lie, man.
I'm no gamer. I'm no gamer. I'm no gamer, guys. Sorry.
I used to play Halo, and that was pretty much it. But then I was like, no, man, this is just taking too much time. What am I going to do with my life? Play video games? No. So I threw my Xbox away and never looked back. Highly recommended, by the way.
Yes.
So anyways, okay, we're looking
out of games.
What's that?
Opt out of games. Get into the real world.
I mean, that's what that's what the cabal wants you to do, right? They want you on your Xbox, on your PlayStation, not part of the real world, not doing anything. This stuff is more interesting anyways to me. Like after finally getting into it, I was like, you know what, this is actually more interesting than video games. So I mean, at least, to me, maybe because I'm a nerd, but anyways, okay, so we've got stablecoins here. The thing that I really wanted to point out here is that Tether their market cap has significantly risen, really basically to all-time highs at this point, even higher than the bull market, whereas USDC has fallen. And earlier, like maybe a month or two ago, we talked about how, hey, this looks like it might be flattening out, and then it took like another big another drop here. I think that's like $1 billion drop. So it's interesting. The theory is that the only like cogent theory I've heard so far is that people are getting out of USDC. They're cashing out of USDC because you can actually redeem that. And people say that you can't really redeem your tethers. It depends on who you listen to. The people that support Tether are people I deeply mistrust. So, it's, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see, what's going to happen with this. At least it's a signal that if USDC starts coming back to the upside, that's probably a good sign for crypto overall. But overall, let's take a look at the like I have a dominances calculator here for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, but really we're just going to look at the stablecoin dominance. So we're going to show the total stablecoin market cap right now. And that would be in white. And sorry, should have probably done this before. I actually had this on and then I deleted it. So overall, the stablecoin market cap in white has been slowly bleeding out and dropping. We'll probably look at this to determine, things like bullish signals. If this thing starts to turn around, we'll probably look at that as a bullish signal, especially like here's an ideal situation. Let's suppose that that Bitcoin and total market cap comes to the downside, right? Let's suppose it kind of does that meandering down thing that we talk about, and then it flattens out down here, and then we see the stablecoin total market cap in white. Let's suppose that's also kind of coming down, and then it starts to pop while while Bitcoin is flat. This would be kind of an early sign that, hey, crypto's probably getting ready to start moving to the upside again. So that's just like one kind of sort of fundamental piece rather than the technical analysis, rather than drawing lines and looking at moving standard deviations and moving averages, right? This is more of a fundamental aspect that we could look at. And okay, so there's kind of like one signal that's, I haven't really dug into this enough to say if it was a signal or not, but what we have here is Chainlink on the bottom. Actually, let's go back really quick. Let me show you that. So Chainlink is in white and these are Z-scores. So you can see that Chainlink has just been outperforming everything. I've got some link. I've been hanging on to it. I'm telling myself that it's a hodl, but I kind of want to sell because it's in profit and I don't want it to go back down. So I've got to wrestle with that personally here in the coming week or two, because it really is like Chainlink is hitting this resistance point that it's kind of like had these continuous cycles since last year, since really a year ago, where it pops and it drops, it pops and it drops, and it just keeps doing this. And one thing that someone pointed out is that we have often seen where like Bitcoin will make a big peak, or crypto like Bitcoin, let's just say Bitcoin and Ethereum will make a peak, and then Chainlink will follow, and then it'll all crash together. So like the Chainlink bounce is kind of like so we see Chainlink coming to the upside, and then everything starts moving back to the downside. So we've got another Chainlink signal here that's been happening really kind of this year. That Chainlink was a little bit delayed. It came back, and then maybe is it about to fall? As soon as, probably your best bet here, as soon as this thing starts to falter by even 1 day or 2 days max, like you see a big wick to the upside or something like that, that's probably the time to get out, because then this thing will probably move to the downside. So at the moment, like I said, I'm really out of the markets for the most part. I've got some shit coins like Chainlink, or I don't know if it's a shit coin, but I got some altcoins like Chainlink and a few others that, if my thesis is wrong, that things are going to move to the downside over the next let's just say 2 to 6 months. If I'm wrong about that, I've got these coins here. Something like Chainlink should perform pretty well if the rest of the crypto market is going up. So it's like my personal insurance against my thesis being wrong. So I think that's about it, guys. Unless you guys, you asked about the housing market. I didn't really put anything together for that, but we can at least look at kind of this sawtooth action. Right now, we're in the season for housing to sort of take a dip. You can see every year it's got this sawtooth. So, the housing prices start moving down towards the end of the year. People don't really buy houses as much. So we kind of saw this peak back up, and it's actually it's surprisingly holding out pretty well here for the past couple of months. Usually we would have expected to see this move to the downside already. So anyways, that's housing. We'll talk more about that. I'll try and put something more comprehensive together.
Yeah.
But you got any questions?
Anon Man is asking, back to the gold thing. He's saying, I want to buy some PAX-G as well via Monero, but concerned that the ERC address can be flagged. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you need to convert, obviously, from Monero to Ethereum. I would say use Trocador. I think most of those are. I've never had any problems cashing out of Monero into a stable coin and then dropping that onto an exchange or something like that. If you're really concerned, I suppose you could use Kraken, right? Because you send Monero there, you get your Ethereum. It's going to be holy, sanctified, and blessed by the authorities that you have good ETH. You could try using the atomic swap. I mean, obviously, that's a pretty cool idea. I wouldn't expect. What you could do, actually do a test amount. Send some amount of, let's just say it's 5% from Monero into Ethereum, whichever way you choose, buy your PAX-G, and then let it sit for a couple weeks. Maybe sell that PAX-G. By the way, this is going to incur a lot of ETH fees at the same time. So I couldn't recommend rollups just yet, but I know a lot of people play in rollups. I don't know if PAX-G is available in ETH L2. Those bridges are starting to get a lot better. I know of that these things are working, but I am not I can't say that I've gone and looked at it and that I'm comfortable with it personally. I'm still before I get into ETH L2, I'm still kind of waiting until we see this thing good for another year. Maybe I'll probably put some money in there as the bull market starts to kick off. Maybe, not a whole lot, but yeah, I mean, that would be my recommendation. Buy a small amount up front and then buy the rest later.
Okay. Has PAX-G been around for a while?
Yeah. So PAX is a pretty, I think they're a New York based exchange. I thought it was New York based, and they're fairly reputable, I believe. They're really the only guys that I would trust for holding gold at this moment. Tether has a gold token as well, but I mean, the point of getting into PAX-G is to spread your risk, your stable coin or pegged coin, your third party risk among multiple people, not just Tether. So for me, okay, I've got some Tether, shamefully admitted live on camera here. But I'd like to move out of that Tether, and I don't trust their gold product either. So, but yeah, I mean, PAX-G is fairly reputable.
That's Paxful, right? Is that or Pax, right? Is that the
Paxful? Yeah.
Yeah. They've been around for forever. Do you know the volume on PAX-G? Is it decent volume?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we could look that up. Let's go to another page here. PAX-G. Where is the ERC? I don't know. I don't want to waste too much time here on the stream, but
okay, yeah, no worries.
PAX-G USDT. There's Bybit. Uniswap. Finally, I don't know which contract it is. Let's just go with the first one, and then we can take a look at the volume. So another reason to get into gold on PAX-G is because it doesn't have huge liquidity. So when gold spikes, PAX-G spikes even more. I've seen it be 20 or maybe even 30% above the actual spot price of gold. So that kind of gives you some opportunity to do swing trades if you're a degen that is so inclined. Okay. I don't know what the units here, but that's not a whole lot. I would assume that one PAX-G is basically an ounce of gold. That's usually how these volume numbers work. So if we're looking at Bitcoin volume, this would be like, 2,000 Bitcoin. So in this case, it's probably the number of PAX-G being traded. So you would multiply by the US dollar price. So it looks like probably a couple million at best is being traded, maybe 4 million at best is being traded per day, it looks like. Which is, that's pretty good. Like that's unless you're going to move $1 million into PAX-G, this is pretty good. But again, this is very tentative. I need to confirm that this is even the right chart. Let's take a look at gold. Let's lay these two on top of each other. Style. Let's go to line. Dang it. All right. We're going to kill this volume right here because it's getting in the way. And that's weird. Oh, that's why it does that. Okay. Yeah, okay, so this does look like PAX-G. I swear that at one time I saw, okay, so you can see these big wicks up here. So the candles are PAX-G and then the orange is gold itself. So yeah, you can see these big wicks to the upside. Yeah, that was a 20%. This wick right here in March was 20% higher. Even now, recently, it's only 3%. So it seems to track pretty well the price. And if you get, really what I would do as a trader is I would make a script to tell me what the divergence is between gold and PAX-G. And then I would look for opportunities where the divergence is significant and try and buy down there. These are wicks that probably only, let's go to a shorter time frame. These wicks probably don't last very long. Yeah, so we're looking at best an hour. Let's go down to the 15-minute chart. Yeah, so what happens is people put orders in. So what you might do is use something, this is total degen stuff, guys. So please understand, I'm talking degen bullshit. This is not recommended for most people. What you can do is get on matcha.xyz or 1inch.io. You can put a buy order or a sell order on the books. And then try and ask yourself, where are these wicks? Where do they usually get above? Set your buy order somewhere in that wick area. Again, this is a 15-minute chart. So these are momentary spikes where someone smashes the buy or sell button and moves price down. And then all the buy orders hit and then they move to the upside. So yeah, that's what you could do to get your best price. Personally, unfortunately, I don't use that enough. I don't use the buy and sell order enough to get in and out of Ethereum. Which the thing is, if you don't use orders, you're gonna, and if you're using significant amounts of money, you're gonna get sandwich attacked. You're gonna get front run. You're gonna get MEV botted on ETH. So you've got to be really careful about that. But anyways, I do think that a good time to get gold is coming up. PAX-G is kind of my number one because they're Paxful and they're a reputable exchange. So maybe they'll hold my shit hostage for KYC someday, but I think the crypto ecosystem is kind of no, F you government, not until you force us to do so. So we should see those kinds of things coming well ahead of time. Just like if you were paying attention in 2017, you would have seen the forcible KYC on the exchanges happening in real time and been able to get your coin off. So anyways, that's my gold rant, my PAX-G.
No, I think it's good stuff. And so there's no good way to buy a gold-based stable coin with Monero directly.
No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, you could go to a gold bullion vault directly with Monero. I forget which one it's called. It's a US bullion vault, or you can just buy straight from
Vaulturo, I think is one of them. I don't know if they.
Oh, in Money Metals.
Vaulturo. Yeah,
Vaulturo. I haven't heard of Vaulturo. I have to go check them out. But yeah, I've bought in from Money Metals before, and they just ship it UPS. It's kind of nerve-wracking to have gold via UPS being shipped to you, but buy insurance.
Well, these instance exchanges like Trocador or whatever, none of them are carrying a PAX-G or something to Monero.
Actually, that's a good question. I would get on Trocador and see if they can send you a PAX-G ERC20 directly. That might be possible because they've got a whole bunch of coins. You can go from Monero to stablecoin to ETH to Bitcoin, whatever. So you might check that out. But Trocador, Trocador.app is hands down my favorite. They aggregate all of the different swap services. You also might check out what's the one exchange that we were using for a while. They're an account-based exchange, but they're non-KYC. If anyone remembers it, they can shout it out in the comments.
Trade Ogre?
Trade Ogre, yeah, that's it.
Trade Ogre? Okay.
Yeah, you might try Trade Ogre. The volume is pretty bad on there, so you got to put your order in and wait until it fills, which means you're not going to get the best price because the volume is low. So the Trade Ogre price doesn't exactly match like the Kraken price or any of the other exchanges exactly. So
I figured that was just being run by you, Bawdy.
I tried Trade Ogre, but just not enough volume. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Thank you so much. This is great as always. I think a good topic to discuss. Trying to go from Monero to something gold backed.
Cool. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Along. Yeah, thanks, man. Stick
right.
around if you
next
can.
time.
Thanks, buddy.
How's my sound on these things? Is it all right, Tux?
Yeah, it sounds surprisingly okay considering that looks like the cheapest headset ever.
it's really bad.
I think
it's like something you would get like on a
like they would. Processing.
Yeah, it's like something they like give away on a plane or something. It's like
yeah, honestly,
it's like a disposable headset. All right, moving along.
Next, we got the dev segment.
And now for the Monero development segment.
Hey, what's up?
Hey man, how's it going?
It's okay. Actually, the fundraiser got funded, so I'll have a phone maybe by next week. But after that, 100%.
All right, but you're doing well with what you got, right?
Yes. Actually, I didn't really have much time this week, so as I told you, I had to pick not that complex topic. But for next week, I got something coming from the same creator as the XMR idle miner. He's made some AI stuff with Monero.
Okay. Yeah, let's see what you got this week.
So,
XMR idle miner.
So, as mentioned, this is a really simple Python script which checks your PC if it's idle or not, measured in minutes. So, for example, if you haven't moved your cursor in the last, for example, 5 minutes, 5 is the default, then it turns on your XMR rig and mines for you. This is useful for people who, for example, are in home office or just play games on their PC and don't want them to lag.
Very cool, very cool. So it's a quick, easy way to turn your PC into a miner without disturbing your normal PC use.
Yes, basically. Currently, it only works with Linux with Xorg by default, but you can change it really easily. For example, for Mac, as Yobi mentioned, it needs Python 3.x from python.org. So it uses the psutil and the xprint idle for checking the time that you've been idle for. The xprint idle is specifically for Xorg, but as mentioned here, it can be used on macOS too with a sleepwatcher script. The packages are installed by pip install -r requirements.txt. Keep in mind that xprint idle didn't install for me by that way, so you can install it via apt-get install or in RPM systems via yum install xprint idle. Download XMR rig from their official GitHub, and preferably use systemd, or if you don't want to, you can use the Python command using an export environment variable. So it uses an variable which I will show my other screen. 1 second.
Did you test this out? Did you give it a go?
Yes, I did. So if I can share my entire screen, yes, I can. Can you put it in? Thank you. So, as mentioned here, it can be used by the systemd when creating the file. You can put it in the etc systemd system and use the basic configuration from his GitHub, Edge 7's GitHub, and use it with the systemd way, or you can run Python, the script, the main.py, with the way I'm showing here. 1 second. So it needs a variable which is your path to the XMR.Rig, which you can enter this way in Linux. So you need to export a system environment variable XMR.Rig underline path, and you just enter the path here. You press enter, and that way now if I'm in the folder which has the scripts, then I can just do Python main.py. Oh no, sorry, main.py. And this now has my path to the XMR.Rig in a variable. The 5 there is the seconds that I've been idle for, and currently it's set to 2 minutes. So if it hits 2 minutes, then it's going to start XMR.Rig in the background.
Cool.
Do you want to see it in working? Because then I can. Okay, then 1 second, because then I can bring up another terminal and use the sorry, what the? Oh, I didn't enter the environment variable here because it's not permanent.
I love that you tested this out. Now, do you think you're actively going to use this, or what's your recommendation? I mean, do you think it's a good idea to do? Or?
Personally, for me, I don't usually play games, but when I do, I will be using this for sure. So it starts the app, and I can run bits up in the background, which can monitor my processes.
Tux, what do you think of this?
It's pretty interesting, but
what's this?
I don't use XOR, I use Wayland, and I think most people now use Wayland. Did you find an alternative to replace? I'm not sure if this kind of thing would work on Wayland because of how it's isolated.
I'm sure it would work. It just needs the package for it to work. I might ask Edge if he knows anything that works with Wayland, or I will search for it myself if you need it.
Someone say, can you already do this via XMR.Rig, just setting it to start mining on idle?
Can you? I don't think so.
Okay.
So in maybe a minute or so, it should start mining in the background.
Okay, cool.
If I touch my mouse, then of course it will cancel idle time and.
yeah. All right, we can see. In the meantime, we got a special report over here. We got a message from Vic. I know this news is already out there. Doug, did you already announce that Justin has left Cake and moved on to other projects? He is still consulting for Cake here and there, though, so not fully gone. No, I don't think we've officially mentioned it here on the show. So Justin is no longer with Cake in his full-time capacity. We did mention last week that there was an opening at Cake. So now we know why there's an opening. And I don't know if that position's been filled yet, but Vic had posted it a week or two ago. They're looking for somebody full time to basically take over Justin's role. But I think Tux, I think you interviewed Justin, right? Do you have any more info on it? What is Justin up to? Did he say what he's going to be moving on to?
No, not specifically.
Okay.
He's keeping it pretty low key right now, but like you just mentioned, and like was in the interview, he's still going to be doing some contract work for Cake. He just said he couldn't devote his full time to Cake anymore, but he'll still be part of the team. And of course, he'll still be in the Monero community for the foreseeable future. But I don't know. I have no idea.
All right, so it's not like he's completely moving on to other realms. It sounds like he's staying in the Monero sphere, right?
Okay, it should have started mining by now. The Python 3 that pops up on the right corner sometimes. It's not the third. It's a disappear now. It should be that, but I didn't start XMR.Rig. Yes, process is running. I didn't start XMR.Rig by sudo, so it didn't have the MXR mode, so it couldn't start functionally. Sorry, efficiently.
Okay.
Oh,
all right. Well, we get the point. We don't want to bore people. All right. Thank you, man. Comrade. Thank you.
Well, I thank Edge for making this, because
is there anything?
In my opinion, this could help lots of people. As we know, in the Monero community, people. I mean, most of the people probably work from home.
Yeah, it seems like a great thing to do for those that want to use their computer to mine without disrupting their normal CPU usage. Anything else you want to throw out there before we move on?
No, I don't think so.
All right, man. All right, Conrad, thank you so much.
All right, awesome. Thanks for showing us.
Thank you too.
Alrighty.
Next, I guess we bring the guest
in
up.
Tux's interview, Justin made it clear he did not take a new job at the Zcash Foundation. All right.
Yes.
At least that would have been a tough one to deal with. It really would have. It really would have. Thank you, Justin, for not doing that to us. But Justin's an amazing person in general, and particularly in the Monero space. So it's really nice to know he hasn't completely abandoned us. And it sounds like he'll still be doing stuff for Cake. So I'm extremely excited to see what it is he's going to be working on. It's probably going to be something pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't doubt whatever he's going to do. It's going to be something that'll be good for probably Monero and not Zcash.
The Monero ecosystem is growing up, guys. We're growing up. Yeah, let's move on to our special guest.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Hey, man.
Hello, Douglas. Hello, Tuxsudo.
Welcome.
How's it going? How are you?
I'm fine. Nice to be on the show.
Yeah, I think you've joined anonymously, right, in the past, I feel like, or no? I feel like or maybe we just had you lurking in the comments. I guess you never came on stage, huh?
I was one time at Monerotopia already. When we first showed our project TipXMR.
Yes.
Yeah, that's some time ago, almost 3 years.
I think that was that might have been one of the first Monerotopia episodes, I think, right? And we had you on to show that. That's awesome. You want to quickly introduce yourself? Whatever it is you're willing to divulge? Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Hundehausen. and I'm from Germany. I'm into Monero since 6 years now, and since 3 years I'm a self-taught software developer, and I started programming around the Monero ecosystem. Yeah, and today I want to show you my new project.
Awesome, man. Before we get into it, are there other what are some of the other projects you've worked on?
So
I know you mentioned Tip.
Yeah, Tip XMR is so my main project, and I've built several small things like Docker images where you can host a Monero node, Docker images for P2 pool exporter for Prometheus, and exporter for Prometheus for Monerotopia, so mostly web stuff. I also made a website where you can track Monero nodes that are public, and they show up on a map, but that project is not working anymore, I think. Yeah, several small stuff.
Very cool, very cool. Why isn't the node thing working anymore? Just hasn't been kept up, or?
I programmed it a way that when a node is not reachable for 7 days, it will get deleted out of the database, and the script that's doing this is not working, and it deleted all nodes that were added.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll have to update the project, and it's not a lot to do, but yeah.
Okay, very cool, very cool. But yeah, I guess let us know what it is that you're working on right now that you just released. Give us the details.
Yeah, if you want to share your screen with the present button on the bottom, you can show it off.
Mm-hmm.
What are we calling this thing? What is the name?
It's called Monero Suite. The URL where you can reach the website is XMR.Guide. So Monero Suite, I started this project a few days or weeks ago. It was inspired by Seth for Privacy, who has done a lot of stuff with Monero and Docker images. So Docker is a software with which you can deploy services on your server and make them maybe public, maybe only host them for yourself. And the only thing you need is a file. It's called Docker Compose file. I try to explain it very easily and basic. Yeah, and here you can see a generator for this file, because it's not always easy to understand how you write this file or how you adapt it to your own needs. So this is why I had the idea that you can have a website which generates you with inputs, checkboxes, the right file for you. If you want, I can give you a quick demo.
Yeah.
So
please do.
At here, all services that I tick on the left side are getting added. So this first service is Monerotopia. It is mandatory. So because every other service is building on top of Monerotopia, it's the daemon software. And then you can choose if you want to have it as a public node or as a private node. And as I change my config on the left, the Docker Compose file gets updated, as well as the bash commands you need for running this or making it as a public service or hardening your firewall so you are not getting attacked. So first of all, you can choose between running a public node or a private node. And then you can choose if you want to have a pruned node or a full node with a whole blockchain. And maybe this one is easy. If I tick pruned node, there's this command flag that gets added, prune blockchain. So now if you want to add a P2Pool node, instead of having to set it up on the command line, everything is not so easy, and then you have to connect it in some way to Monero D. You can just tick this option and add your own Monero address, and then this part gets added. And the address here is the same address as here. So no need to configure this file. And then you can even add integrated P2Pool mining. I am using this, but I don't think lots of people are using it because they use a standalone miner like XMR.Guide. But the P2Pool software has a miner integrated in itself as well. I'm not sure if it's performant as XMR.Guide, but it's the easiest way to get started mining. And then you can choose between the P2Pool chain. There's a smaller chain for devices with a smaller hash rate. And then you can choose this one if your hash rate is low. And then the flag mini gets added, and the ports here are slightly changing because the mini chain uses other ports to communicate. And the next service is Monero Block. It's a block explorer. You can host it by yourself by just adding this. And then this service gets added as well. And then you can even add another blockchain explorer. It's called the Onion Monero Blockchain Explorer. It uses no JavaScript at all. It's a really nice project. And then you can add Tor. This container will expose most of your services to as a hidden service in the Tor network. So when you are starting all these containers together, you can reach your Monero node with a v3 onion link. You can reach your P2Pool instance and your block explorer. You can use it for yourself or even share it with the public. And if they use the onion link, they don't even know where the servers are, and the communication is encrypted and obfuscated. So that's a really nice addition. The next service is called Watchtower. It's not related to Monero, but it looks regularly if there's a updated image for any service, and if there is, it downloads that image, stops the container, and builds a new container from the new image. And it's really fast. You can't do it that fast on the keyboard by yourself. So you have a only super small downtime every time that happens. And the last service is called AutoHeal. AutoHeal is restarting unhealthy containers. So let's say if your Monero daemon, Monero D gets stuck or crashes, it will automatically restart that container. So you can be sure all services are always working together. So There's a light mode as well, but I don't like it. Yeah, and what's so great about the open source community is that I've already gotten a pull request from a GitHub user who wants to add his exporter as well for Prometheus and has even a Grafana dashboard. And I am ready to review this PR and probably merge it soon. So then you can have a very nice dashboard and control or monitor your Monero node.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Tux, you got any questions?
No, I like this. I think it's great. It's it shows people how you would build a Docker Compose for that, because it can be overwhelming at first, but really it's pretty simple. But this gives you all the checkboxes and toggles, and then actually shows you the live output, which is really cool. I'm actually working on a PR to add a slider that lets you choose different distros. So like Ubuntu, this one's for like Debian or Ubuntu-based systems. I primarily use Fedora. There would be a toggle that you choose instead of Ubuntu, Fedora, basically. And it would use firewall D instead of UFW and stuff. So
yeah, and I don't think it doesn't use apt or apt-get.
Yeah, it's DNF.
Yeah, so that's a really nice idea. Yeah, because currently it's mainly for Debian or Ubuntu-based distros.
Very cool.
Should we do a live demo? I have an Ubuntu VM that could run that right now.
Yeah, if you could quickly get
me to share my screen. Yeah, let me see. Close that. All right.
Bawdy is asking, when you're accessing your node over Tor, how is the delay time?
So this, I can't give you a exact answer. It depends on many things, but you can expect it to be much more slower, but it's usable still.
I should mention, so the Nodo, we're still plugging away on that. We hope to ship those before Christmas. I have a banner running on the bottom, but we've recently decided to add P2 pool mining onto the Nodo, so that's a little development.
So
Not
let
directly
me go to
related.
XMR.Guide, and I will do just the default settings, I think.
The thing is, when you're using the default settings, or if you're adding P2 pool, most of the services, they need to have the blockchain fully synced. And as Monero D is syncing, the other services are getting errors and restarting. But as soon as Monero D is fully synced, they are up and running.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
So what are you doing right now here, Tux, for the...
So I just went ahead and made a new directory. I created docker-compose.yml, and I copy and pasted the contents from the Monero Suite on the left side where it said docker-compose.yml, and I just did sudo docker space compose space up. Usually you want to do a space and a -d afterwards, or else it's going to just output everything in the terminal, but I'm doing this so you can see it. And you see right now it's running Monero D, and it's going ahead and syncing, which will take a little while. But there you go, now it's up and running. And once it starts, it'll be on that predefined port that was on the config. So it should be running on port 18089. That should be the one you can access from Monero GUI or Cake Wallet. And if you want to open this up for you to use like outside of your home network, obviously you have to do some port forwarding. That'll be specific depending on what router you have. But if you just want to use it locally, then all you have to do is grab the IP of the system running it on. So like on Linux, you could do IP A, and you'll see right here this one is 192.168.2.111. So when you add the node, you would just type 192.168.2.111 space or semicolon 88. What was that port? 180.89. 180.89. And that's what you would do to be able to use your node.
Very cool. For those of you who are not Linux guys, not command line guys, that's what we're building the Nodo for. So it's just going to be a plug and play version. Get your node up and running, get P2 pool up and running on your node, and a few other things. But yeah, because these types of things are beyond me. But it's beautiful to see that you guys are developing more on ramps here. Understood.
Yes,
what else do you think? Go ahead.
I think we can make it even much more easier, explaining people how to port forward things, or make maybe I can add a reverse proxy like traffic. So then you can
there you go.
enter your domain name that you have and point it via DNS to your server, and then you type in your domain name into the Monero Suite. And then a reverse proxy is added, and then for each service you can have a subdomain, and it's pointing at the right port reversed. But for the user, he can use HTTPS on port 443, like just a normal website, and then you can have maybe the block explorer hosted on your own domain, and it's TLS encrypted.
All right. Other things you're thinking that you want to work on, you want to develop for the Monero ecosystem in general?
So you had Alexander Schmidt on Monero Talk, I think, a few weeks ago. He's developing the Monero merchant booklet. And
yes,
together we want to make the website for this booklet. It's called Monero.eco, but we haven't started yet.
Nice. I feel like the amount of projects that are being worked on is going exponential right now in the Monero ecosystem. It's becoming hard to keep up, which I guess makes sense, right? Network effect, right? Or Metcalfe's law, really, right? As more members enter the network, enter the ecosystem, we're seeing kind of an exponential rise in people participating and working on projects.
I can show you my GitHub. If you go onto my GitHub page, I'm sharing my screen. Can you show my screen? Yeah. So
yes, we see it.
If you're on my GitHub, you can go to stars. That's all my projects I have liked so far, and I've created a list. It's called Monero. It has 142 repositories in it. So you can find here every Monero project that matters or is updated regularly. So no dead projects, but only important projects that I really enjoy.
Beautiful.
And there are lots of projects coming recently.
Yeah, that's cool. I followed you, and I noticed my GitHub feed was filled with you creating lists for projects, privacy lists. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I really should do that, because I often find all these projects, and usually I just bookmark it, and it gets in some random bookmark folder somewhere. But I like how you're laying that out, making these lists.
This is the number go up we want to see, guys. I mean, this is what counts. Amazing.
This and merchant adoption.
100%. XMR Bazaar, I know we've been talking about it. We're very excited about that. Just another example of a project that's being worked on. Yeah, we'll hopefully be giving some updates soon on that. But yeah, beautiful to see. Thank you, Hundehausen. Anything else you want to throw out there while you have the stage? Information, general messages to the community.
I think I've noticed something in the recent, at least in the last months, maybe the Bitcoin sentiment dropped and the critics raised, and those who have not spoken about Monero and also about Bitcoin, but started the criticism, a few of them start mentioning Monero more and more. And today I saw even on X, Coinbureau, so his name is Guy. He posted a new blog post.
I saw that. Yeah.
Between
I
Monero
haven't read it
and
totally,
Bitcoin.
but it's a very long article, and it's not 100% perfect. He's some small mistakes, but I think in general it's a very positive comparison.
People are finally seeing it for what it provides that Bitcoin just doesn't have.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more obvious to people, and yeah, he has a tremendous following, so that's a big indicator. I've said it on this show many times. I'll say it again. I think it relates to what we're talking about today. People getting involved. If you're out there, you're watching this, you're interested, don't assume somebody has already done the project that you're thinking of. I think there's like a lot of hesitation there too, like kind of tragedy of the commons, assuming that other people are already working on it, building on it. Just take action, start building it. Even if other people are already working on things, build your version. The more competition, more participation, the better. Or link up with people that are already working on the idea that you're interested in. Reach out to them. But yeah, don't sit back on your hands. Get involved. I mean, this is an extremely exciting place to be at right now. When Monero ultimately does reach the level that many of us expect it to reach, these are the times we're going to look back on as the most exciting, right? When there was just a great, amazing opportunity to get involved and be involved and help build out the infrastructure.
That is true. That is very true. I can hear my server the fan is going really hard right now, syncing them the Monero node.
Well, I think we should move on just because I got to get back to family festivities over here. Hundehausen, you're always welcome to jump on this show. You know that. It was great seeing you in person this summer at MoneroCon. Yeah. Hope to see you again soon. And yeah, keep us updated on everything you're working on. Always jump on whenever.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Hundehausen, thanks for coming on. All right, moving on to viewers on stage in the news. Or how you want to play it?
Yeah. Let's do viewers on stage. Yeah, if Hundehausen could stay on, actually, I don't know if he's got to go. If we could keep him on, we could get his comments on some of the news articles. Did he already? Shit, he already ditched. Okay. Okay. Let's run viewers on stage.
It's the Viewers on Stage segment. It's that time where we invite you, the viewers, up on stage to comment on anything you've heard so far today, ask the guest a question, or maybe talk about one of the news topics. Come on down.
All right, you know what to do. If you're in the backstage, just press 1 and I'll bring you on. Don't have too many people on today. I'm going to post the StreamYard link in the comments if you want to join on.
We got Shortwave, who's become a usual on the show. Alaskanon, as always.
Welcome back, guys. Yeah, looks like Tony will not be joining us today, so I will try my best to share the news.
Sweet.
StreamYard link should be in the chat if you want to come on.
Does anybody know why the donation platform is called Kuno? I'm always forgetting that name, and I'm like, I remember the rest of the URL, and that first part I can never remember. I'm like, what is a Kuno?
I don't know. What was his reasoning for Kuno? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Tux?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that an Esperanto thing, Kuno?
I know Bido's an Esperanto thing, isn't it? Or it was, he actually explained it on the website. It was like some combination of words. But Kuno, I don't know.
Maybe one day we get an Archeo up here.
One day.
he's doing amazing things in this space, but he's a very private individual, which obviously we respect.
Of course.
But yeah, kudos to him for everything that he's doing, and he's helping out in a very, very big way with XMR Bazaar. But I don't know where the name Kuno came from. All right, Tux, you ready to
go? Yeah. Let me run the news segment, I guess. Oh, what's this?
What do we got? Alaskanon, what do you got there? Is that a Monero coin? Nice.
Oh, that's legit.
Beautiful.
That's awesome.
I sent some to a certain bird on stream too, so.
Speaking of coins, I actually just exchanged a little bit of Monero for some gold backs on moneromarket.io for Christmas presents to give out to people.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's a great Christmas present. That's awesome. So I need to do that.
I'm like Midas. I turn Monero into gold, and then I was telling a friend about it, and I'm like, they're like, "Can you turn anything else into gold?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I can turn pieces of green paper with dead men pictures on them into gold."
Whenever I go to port, now. Yeah. Gold backs are fun. We need more of those at Monerotopia. Maybe we'll get the gold back guy to participate this year.
Yeah, JM Bullion has I would recommend the silver. The copper ones look really good, but they have a bunch of silver Monero ounce coins right now.
Who is that has it?
JM Bullion. They just released a line of silver Monero 1 ounce coins. I'll go grab one real quick.
Amazing.
I got a local family grocery store to accept gold backs, and they sell like raw dairy and like meats and stuff, which is super cool.
Oh, that is sweet.
They're willing to, because I actually know the family that owns the store, and the mom was like, "I trust you, enough," and so she took them, and I showed her the value on the website and stuff, and she was really curious. She was like, "Wow, this is pretty cool," and so she took. I paid for some raw milk and some cheese with gold backs, which is cool.
Nice. Are you eventually gonna try to introduce them to Monero? You're starting with gold backs, or what do you think?
Yeah, start with gold backs. Try to do Monero. That one's obviously harder because there's setup required, and like how do you use this thing? Gold backs, it's like, oh, you just hand it to somebody, right? It's obvious. It's how dollar bills work. But Monero, it's a little different. But I think she's interested, so I think she would be willing to try it out. But that'll be something I'll have to do in the future.
Beautiful.
All
right, Tux, you got the news? Let's try to do it.
And now for our weekly news segment.
All right. Let me pull up the first one here. I am slightly unprepared. Share screen.
That's the one that you can get on JM Bullion right now. The Monero coins here.
Oh, the silver? Oh, yeah, that's really cool.
Tux, you might keep an eye out to see if something happened where you end up with some. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So we've got the first news is the antminer X5. We now know what's inside it. Rabid Mining. Basically, they did a video where he tore it down. He opened it up, and it's like what people were saying, what they could deduce from checking out the firmware, is it's a bunch of RISC-V CPUs. It's a lot of cores, and you'd think it would be a lot more powerful than it is, but I mean, it's doesn't really compete even with in terms of efficiency with modern Ryzen desktop processors, Zen 4 at least, and yeah, it puts out quite a lot of performance for being a single device on a single board, but I guess that doesn't want to. But yeah, it's like in terms of efficiency, it's only okay. It's not like super superb or anything. So there's a chip that's a RISC-V Sophon chip. It's just a RISC-V processor made by this. I think don't know where the company is from, but yeah, pretty much confirming what we already knew.
I kind of wonder if you can control the output of the thing, because if you can, then it might be a very good heater. Because if it's 1,300 watts, it'll bake you out of most rooms.
Dude, it could be a nice space heater.
If you can set it down to like 500 or 600 watts or something like that, it might not be enough to bake you out of the room, but actually keep your room warm. So you might be able to do that if you can set it down.
Honestly, instead of just spending electricity to heat your room, why not just mine Monero? And this will probably heat your room pretty fast.
I've been doing that for years now.
Yeah. It's never really taken off though, right? I mean, people have been talking about that as a use case from day one. Arctic is always talking about it.
Depends on how much heat you actually need.
Yeah, see, I've got three computers doing it right now, and it'll put about 200 or 300 watts. But that's not going to be enough to heat the room. It's just going to be enough to keep it from getting cold quite as fast. I need probably 6 or 7 to actually warm it.
Now remind me with this quote unquote ASIC miner, which it's not. What did the price end up coming in at, and is it something that's actually very competitive with what you can build on your own?
No, not really. It was around $4,000 USD. And yeah, I think it's reasonable for the performance you're getting, but like because of it's not hitting like the best efficiency. It's not, and especially right now because of how much we're in a bear market, how much Monero is worth, it's not like profitable for almost anybody to deploy.
That's an expensive space heater.
Yes. The return on investment with this thing right now would be like it'd take over a year probably. And yeah, Monero will probably be up in the future. So maybe you buy it now and it's an investment down the line, but it's like in a year from now, there's going to be way more, efficient ways to mine Monero with even newer Ryzen processors, most likely.
Right.
So it's really not that big of a deal.
And like we said, we could assume Bitmain has been mining with these devices before they ship them for a year.
Yes, these devices are not new. Which is probably why that they're not as efficient as current desktop CPUs, is because they've been using these for a couple of years at least. I guess they're in the habit of making something, using it for a couple years, and then when it's good and new, and then selling it off as a new product later down the line when it's just not as profitable for them anymore. So yeah, there we go.
All right.
Definitely a little bit interesting though, and concerning maybe at how much hash rate they have taken up for Monero.
What would be really interesting is to see if somebody could reverse engineer when they were made and how long they've been mining, and try to correlate that with the mining curves and see if Bawdy's thesis
I know
turns
Howard
out
Q
to be
talked
true.
about some of that on the interview and the talk he had about looking at certain statistics to try and correlate when they may have been using those.
Yes.
But next, Gary from Tom Emmer, who seems to be basically promoting Monero without directly saying it. I think we talked about that last week. He's calling out Gary Gensler for not being an impartial regulator, and his answers to his questions today just prove that. Do you want me to show any of this clip? I didn't see it.
Yeah, you can show it.
Right.
It's pretty epic. He goes at him hard.
In the interest of my limited time, I'd appreciate it if you would comply with that. Mr. Gensler, is it fair to say generally that large institutions in any given industry benefit more from regulatory uncertainty than everyday market participants or smaller institutions who don't have the scale or the capital to fund expensive compliance teams?
Large institutions could benefit from uncertainty.
Reclaiming my time. The answer is yes, sir. Mr. Gensler, you had an 18-year career at Goldman Sachs where you were partner and co-head of finance, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And is it correct to say that you made most of your personal wealth directly through your employment at this bank, Goldman Sachs?
I've done well since then too, sir.
I'll take that as a yes as well. You described the SEC under your leadership as the cop on the beat watching out for our constituents, correct?
I think that's a mandate that Congress.
Yeah, and I think you've
us.
said that, reclaiming my time. The answer is yes, sir. If you could just comply with what I've asked, I'd appreciate it. But given your 18-year career at one of the biggest banks in the world and the personal financial fortune you amassed there, do you think it's possible for you to serve as an impartial regulator and not favor large financial intermediaries?
Absolutely, sir.
Well, Mr. Gensler, do you believe the vast majority of digital assets meet the investment contract test and are therefore securities operating illegally outside of the U.S. regulatory umbrella?
As I've said, many of these assets are basically the public is anticipating
Sir, is
profits
that a yes?
based on the efforts of others.
Is the answer then yes?
Again, without prejudging anyone, I do think that the significant
Reclaiming my
majority
time.
are
I'll take it as a
investment
yes. And to be
contracts.
clear, sir, this perspective has nothing to do with a concern you noted in the speech last year where you said, quote, over the past year, several bank executives have shared their concerns with me about the sheer number of depositors who have moved money from their bank accounts into crypto-related exchanges and wallets.
That's the problem.
End quote. Right?
The concern that those bank executives raised was that there's
Again, I'm reclaiming my time,
customers were
sir.
getting
No,
hurt.
I've asked you to answer the questions as short as I can so I can use the time I have. And it's clear that you would like to avoid answering the questions, in my opinion. An Obama-appointed judge in the Southern District of New York, a bank-friendly jurisdiction where you bring most of your cases, recently found that decentralized financial technology, quote, not only removes the so-called middlemen from these transactions, but it also allows users to interact through a variety of methods in an easy and efficient manner, end quote. The court also said underwriters like the ones at banks where you work, sir, are, quote, precisely the types of individual roles that decentralized exchanges were designed to eliminate, end quote. Mr. Gensler, can you assure this committee that your style of regulation by harassment towards digital asset innovation is to the benefit of every American and not driven by your desires to protect industry incumbents?
This is a field that's rife with fraud and manipulation, and I'm looking out for the American investors who've been hurt by the crypto.
Yeah, I'll reclaim my time.
Yeah,
Mr.
okay,
Gensler,
bro.
despite your years of rhetoric, like today, I'm convinced you are not an impartial regulator. Instead, it's clear that you are working to consolidate your own power, even though it means crushing opportunities for everyday Americans and, frankly, the financial future of this country. Even the federal courts are highlighting the damage you, sir, are doing to our constituents, and they're telling you that you don't have the legal authority to accomplish your goal of squashing competition in the financial markets. Congress has been telling you that too. Now, Mr. Gensler, I believe our great financial system is the definition of freedom in this country. And congressional policies must provide room for the traditional financial system to evolve alongside the disruptive digital asset ecosystem. That said, it cannot be understated that a common theme throughout your career, sir, is your relentless loyalty to the largest financial institutions at the clear expense of innovation, competition, and everyday Americans. I yield back.
I suspect some large financial institutions would not agree with that.
There's no question, sir. I've yielded back my time.
All right. Mr. Emmer.
To be fair,
fantastic.
I don't really like Congress very much, but it is really great to see them taken down a peg like that.
I pulled up his voting record real quick.
Oh boy.
Hey, he voted nay on Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment Act. He voted
Bad.
He voted yes on National Defense Authorization for 2022, for 2023.
Bad. I mean, he's
yes
a Republican.
on the Safe Banking Act.
What are you gonna,
Yeah, I mean, listen,
yeah.
all these guys, they have their, their incentive one way or the other, right? But this guy's just happens to align with the crypto community, so it's good to see.
Yeah, but
I mean,
if you,
there's nobody out there.
He's his voting record is actually turning very libertarian over the last. It looks like over the last year and a half, he's had like almost a come to Jesus moment. And it also looks like the last like seriously questionable thing that he did was the Defense Authorization Act. And it makes me wonder, like, if he's got a guilty conscience or something. But I just thought I'd tell people, like, he looks like he's kind of turning a new leaf in a strange way. So,
well, I think a lot of the ways these guys turn a new leaf is they follow the people, right? If they're getting positive feedback as they become more and more libertarian, they keep going down that road. And I think he's seeing that, right? I mean, he's seeing he's being hailed as a hero in the crypto community. So now he's just double downing on it, and he's becoming a stronger and stronger voice.
Did you say he voted no for marijuana reform? Because I would think a libertarian perspective would be that you can put anything in your body you want to as long as it doesn't harm others.
Well, he's not a libertarian.
Yeah, I think he's saying that he's since
trying to draw
changed,
lines for him, like slowly becoming more libertarian, but he's not, right?
Yeah, he's not. He's a Republican.
Move to New Hampshire and secede from the Union.
But as Tuck said, I mean, we've seen Emmer more than any other congressperson really essentially, talk up Monero without saying the word Monero. I think
I mean, like that clip we saw last week before, he literally was talking about Monero, just didn't say Monero.
Yeah, he's the St. Cloud and like east of Minneapolis area of Minnesota. And they've had all kinds of problems with like violence from migrants and all kinds of problems with like financial stuff and housing prices. And actually, I'm wondering if because I know that there's been a huge political tide of pressure to try to like to deal with some of these issues, and they've taken like a really strong libertarian direction in the last couple years. So I think Doug makes a good point. Like, in order to stay in office, he's probably got to change his tone a lot.
I know that Minneapolis in general is a very blue area, St. Paul too, because I used to live there.
Yeah, I used to run a truck driving school in Minneapolis, and I think 99% of our students were Somali immigrants.
Yep.
Here is that Coinbureau article, Monero versus Bitcoin. If you want to take a look at that, that'll be in the description. Yeah, it is quite long. Obviously not going to read this on stream.
What's the conclusion? We go down to the conclusion. What is the...
Do we have a TLD? Oh, there it is. Monero and Bitcoin represent two distinct approaches to cryptocurrency with their own unique sets of features and benefits. Bitcoin, as the pioneer of the cryptocurrency space, offers recognition, liquidity, and a store of value akin to digital gold. Its transparency, while providing financial traceability, also allows for auditability and regulatory compliance. On the other hand, Monero prioritizes privacy above all else, providing users with unparalleled anonymity and transaction confidentiality. Its fungibility ensures that all coins are equal, reducing concerns about tainted funds. Monero's community actively supports its mission of financial privacy and security.
I don't know. Monero seems to actually be more stable than Bitcoin, from what I can tell.
The only thing I think Bitcoin is actually good for, I mean, well, Bitcoin itself, like if it was like, let's say Bitcoin Cash, right? And in terms of the, it needs to be usable, so like dynamic blocks need to happen. But if we're talking about purely the full transparency, I think the only good use case for that is probably for the government. If the government exclusively used like Bitcoin for all of their transactional purposes, that would be completely public information.
But then there wouldn't be any more black budgets, and they couldn't screw the taxpayers.
Yeah, I guess it's just a shame. But
Mind
of course,
you,
that's not going to happen.
They just shouldn't have taxes anyway, because taxation is theft. But whatever.
Of course, it's not going to happen. They're going to try to get you to use, probably even Bitcoin, or especially their CBDC. And their CBDC will be even worse than Bitcoin. It'll be even more tied into the Fed and whatnot. But it's cool that they're giving a little bit of a spotlight to Monero on here. So that's awesome.
When do you guys think we'll see the change in rhetoric from Bitcoin being a store of value to Monero also being a store of value? Like, very few have conceded on that, right? Those that are in the Bitcoin realm and Monero realm have never gone as far as saying, Monero can also is a store of value. Do you think we see that narrative change anytime soon?
I think it's starting to change, and especially when we'll end up seeing more arrests, not purely based off of Bitcoin, but partially due to it. Because Bitcoin is traceable, but once again, we don't really know exactly what Chainalysis is doing. They've been called out for some BS, but I think in the future we'll definitely see more arrests that heavily rely on certain Chainalysis, and then seizure related to that. As soon as it's even though you hold the keys, if they know how it's being spent and stuff, they go after you. That destroys a lot of its sovereignty. If they can still go after you for knowing what you use it for. And I think then people will start to realize, wow, privacy actually matters in this regard. Right. And not knowing how much you have too. Because if it's you've got 50 Bitcoin, this wallet might be actively monitored.
I think that I don't know if anybody's noticed, but I very rarely hear people talk about the store of value aspect of Bitcoin compared to how it was even 6 months ago. I realize people do still say it, but it's 6 or 7 months ago, even it was everybody who was starting to move to the Monero side of things would be, oh, you can hold wealth in Bitcoin, but you make your transactions with Monero. I don't ever really hear anybody talk about Bitcoin's store of value properties like we used to not that long ago. So honestly, I think a lot of people, they're just behind on the times of the talking points if they're still talking about it, if anything.
If you've got a wallet worth 50 Bitcoin, I'm going to hire somebody to break into your house and steal it and split a fourth of the profit with them.
Yeah, I think the confiscatability of Bitcoin will start to show face, as Tux is saying.
I think there's an argument to be made about
privacy is security.
That versus your bank account. Obviously, your bank account is they can just without you even knowing, just steal all your money. But it's just not.
Bitcoin is really becoming the ultimate form of traceable property, right? Where you can very easily prove who owns it, who has provenance, who has ownership, and you can very easily track the title. It's more akin to digital real estate in my mind than digital gold.
And that's why I completely disagree with Or was the conclusion? Bitcoin doesn't really unless you care about ordinals, it doesn't. What does it do better? What does it offer that Monero doesn't already offer? Unless you care about ordinals.
Right.
It's why compromise when the alternative is easier, cheaper, faster, and better long term. Fungible. Yep. There we go.
All right, moving on.
Yep. Oh, yep. Farewell interview with Justin Ehrenhofer, if you want to see that. I interviewed him before he's leaving Cake, and he talked a little bit about his time there. And we've got, let's see.
Well, I'm sure we'll get Justin up on Monerotopia at some point once he's ready to talk about what he's working on.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta say, my curiosity is through the roof because that is a man who puts his attention in some really, really awesome stuff. And to think of what he has going on that's so focus intensive that he has to be yeah, I'm gonna have to roll back my commitments to Cake. That has to be the most epic project ever. Because as far as I could tell, he seemed like he absolutely loved what he did. So what kind of awesomeness must be going on in the background for him to be yeah, we got to find a guy to take on some of these. I can't wait, man.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking too. Because I like you said, I think he passionately enjoyed working for Cake, and he made great strides with it. A lot happened under the guise of Justin. So and you know, the growth potential with Cake is tremendous. So for him to essentially walk away, I mean, I know he's still going to be consulting for them, but for him to walk away from that position, I have to imagine he's got some big things brewing.
He's made a release Monero 2.
He's made a project where you can swipe your Visa card at any point of sale terminal, and you and the business both get Monero.
Not bad. What do we got here?
Next up, Senator Warren's crypto money laundering bill builds momentum as more sign on. Among 9 supporters of the legislature's effort to ward off illicit uses of crypto are Democratic chairs of the Homeland Security, Judiciary Committees. So I guess just an anti-crypto bill, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting to see it gaining momentum.
Yep.
Mostly among Democrats.
I don't know if you guys actually remember
Anti-Money Laundering Act.
I don't know if you guys actually remember. I realized it was like forever ago, and she's basically a dinosaur at this point. But like way back in the day, she used to be super anti-banking cartel. Has anybody ever looked back at what made her a big shot was she would just rant and rave about remember back in the Occupy Wall Street days? Like she was ahead of the Occupy Wall Street thing, like complaining about how banks were getting in on all of these insider deals and it was destroying people's livelihoods and stuff. And part of me just thinks back like, what happened, man? Like she actually used to be super, super anti-bank and like really pro financial freedom. And she was doing all the right things. Like it's just so weird.
It's all an act. I mean, we know it. These people are there's really no difference between those in DC and those in Hollywood. It's just a different form of the same thing.
The people
they're just not as good. They're just not as good looking, right? They're not as good looking in DC, right? I mean, but it's the same job. It's the same job.
The people without morals are just going to take whatever morals that has the deepest pocketbook.
But I mean, her bill is like extremely unnerving. It's concerning for the crypto sphere, especially with regards to Monero. So it's to see it gaining momentum is a little scary. We see people like Emmer on the other side, but I don't know how far this goes. Does this become the thing that ends up gaining momentum and getting passed in Congress? Do they ultimately move in that direction, or does the United States become a crypto friendly, a Monero friendly place? We're kind of at the crossroads for that.
Yeah, so basically it extends anti-money laundering requirements from the Bank Secrecy Act to providers of digital asset wallets, crypto miners, validators, and their participants. So it's taking all those AML regulations from centralized traditional systems and trying to apply that to crypto. And of course, because most of the crypto systems and services we have today are centralized, they will gladly comply with if this ever went through. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about implementing KYC AML for miners, right? For transactions or
as if it already isn't bad enough just buying crypto on a central exchange already, that applies. All these things take the KYC, but it's just going to make it worse. Georgia preparing limited live CBDC pilots. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying. I don't think people realize that the ramifications of how far they're going with that if it were to pass. I mean, it's extreme.
Well, Monero, it's kind of works still, As the country is considered for EU membership, the digital lari is seen as providing interoperability with the digital euro while preserving monetary freedom. Press X to doubt. Georgia's preparing limited live CBDC test. National Bank of Georgia has announced that it will advance its research on a digital lari, central bank digital currency, in a limited access live pilot environment. 9 companies, including Ripple Labs, will take part in the project, and one of them will be selected to move forward to the next stage of testing. Yeah, so it looks like Georgia is testing CBDC in collaboration with the wonderful Ripple. Any thoughts on that?
No.
Nope. All right. Moving on. Also, more tests. France, Singapore, and Switzerland test cross-border CBDCs. Project Mariana was developed under the aegis of the Bank for International Settlements. The BIS and the central banks of France, Singapore, and Switzerland concluded a joint test of the cross-border trading and settlement of wholesale CBDCs. The Bank de France issued the report on September 28th. Project Mariana. Using DeFi. More CBDC crap. Brazil's crypto surge prompts central bank to tighten regulation. According to the central bank's data from January to August 2023, imports of crypto rose by 44.2% compared with the same period in 2022. The governor of Banco Central de Brazil, Brazil's central bank, said the bank has noted a significant surge in crypto adoption in the country and tends to react by tightening the digital assets regulation. Wow. So Brazil's they're trying to regulate too. Yep.
So has anybody noticed the bizarre correlation between CBDCs getting their interoperability with former colonies and vice versa? And I would think that that would be an excellent like a way to create political discontent, to show like all of these former colonies making their cryptos and their CBDCs interoperable with their former colonial overlords, and just try to draw that line with how like they still run everything.
You're saying you're surprised that nobody's making that correlation and
yeah, like so for example, North Africa and France, or Siam and that area, all of the former Siamese countries in France, they're all building their CBDCs for interoperability, and it's all based out of France. So the thing is like the France still controls all, but it's the same thing with like Portugal and Brazil, and like it's all former colonies linking their government finances to their former colonial overlords.
They got to maintain that link. They don't want to lose it. What is it saying here in this article, Tux? We understand that a lot is connected to tax evasion or linked to illicit activities.
Sorry, I was choking on something there.
Well, whatever. Brazil's cracking down.
Yeah, they're cracking down. And of course, part of that's because the Brazilian central bank is also working on its own CBDC. So they're going to try and discourage, the real free methods of crypto. I mean, which, are questionably free even by themselves. And then they want to show their Fed coin, basically. All right, last we have a new Monero service, private image sharing with XMR payments to unhide and view the image. Get paid for sharing content. I know exactly what kind of service this sounds like.
I thought this is very well made. It's
I'll show it off because it looks like it's actually people are just sharing funny stuff right now.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very NSFW service.
It does.
I tested it out. It works very well.
What did we say about Monero fans?
Should I actually pay for any of these?
They're actually not cheap. The one I paid for was like $8, and it was like a picture of I don't know, it was a drawing, but I want that.
Is it this drawing?
Yeah. So yeah, if you check it out, it's pretty cool. So view.
Is it safe to view?
And now if you were to send Monero to that address, it will display the image.
Let's send 0.05. Wow, that's $7.
I know, like this is sort of good. But
yeah, I'm one of
I'm
those
sure
people
anybody
who
watching. Go ahead.
if it's over 50 Monero, I start to question the price because like I've gotten to the point now where I can kind of do the US dollar to Monero conversion in my head because I use it enough. And so I'm to the point where if it's over 50 Monero, I'm like, let me think about this. Is it worth that?
All right, gotta wait for one confirmation.
But it's very, the site is very slick, very simple, very easy to create an account. Actually, if you go to login or create an account, it just asks for your to create a username and a Monero address, and then you can just upload pics and lock them, set the price. You could imagine, use your imagination. You can imagine what this thing will most likely be used for.
And after just one comp, which of course takes only like 15 seconds with Monero.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good use case.
Yeah.
Good
nice
use
job.
case, and we
That is a
will
pretty
be
impressive picture.
Impressive freehand, yeah. That's pretty awesome.
Tux, it's fair to say we will have some functionality like this on XMR Bazaar for digital downloads, right? I mean, it won't be, exactly analogous, but it will effectively do the same thing.
Yeah, it's
very
pretty
cool.
interesting.
I like this.
Cool.
With XMR Bazaar, how much control do you as the admin have over it? Are you able to like take down listings and things like that, or is this going to be a I can't control what you put up kind of thing, or what?
No, unfortunately not.
It's going to be we're
we
going to have to follow
people
some
put
rules.
certain illegal stuff on there. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just how.
Because I figured
I would liken it to curated, just like mods removing illegal activities.
Because I was going to say, if this is decentralized like BISC or something like that, then you couldn't control nothing.
The thing is it as far as like the actual transaction, it is like the peak of decentralized. Like they don't have any custody over the actual monetary side of things, if I'm not mistaken. I've just been a casual observer, but it's quite literally like just mods for preventing illegal activities sort of deal, and then transactions themselves go on outside of the purview of the website.
Correct. Yeah, the anybody that wants to transact can use the multi-sig, and that's out of our control, right?
Yeah,
but the
listings on the website itself, I mean, those
will
to
be curated.
Like we're not going to let somebody put like methamphetamine on there. Right?
I was going to say, like, if somebody wanted to post an ad for cannabis, they can't do that.
Well, I mean, the rule is basically going to be, based on you follow the rules of your jurisdiction, right? Where you are, and then we may have to step in at times if we feel like there's egregious, things that are being done that are clearly outside of the law.
I mean, we
but
like
it's run by liberty-minded people that believe in free and open markets. So we're always leaning towards more, not less. But with the balance, playing the balancing act of not.
We're never going to KYC our customers. We'll shut down before we ever have to do that.
Also, keep in mind like how long people have been looking for a way to like validate their vendors. And people have been looking for a very long time for something that's kind of like in between a dark market and an Amazon. But for Monero, I mean, it fills a huge chasm. I mean, I don't know. I've been pretty impressed with a lot of these projects. Like, I'm stoked about the Nodo. I'm stoked about XMR Bazaar because I can see that it's a grounded movement for real things that real people need now.
The thing that never took off that made me sad was Open Bazaar back in like 2017 or 18 or whatever it was. Yeah. I thought that if that took off like it should have, I thought that was going to be really good because that was
a Bitcoin problem, right? I mean, Bitcoin didn't work well for digital cash purposes.
Yep.
I think that's a lot of the reason why it failed. Now, I think eventually they became more Bitcoin Cash, right? But it just didn't have the network effect.
To my knowledge,
try out the experience on this side. I'm going to make an account real quick. You must agree to be incredibly based. You can add like Twitter handle or username, email address, bio, picture. Of course, that's the XMR address. Submit. Pretty simple. Pretty straightforward. So I guess upload. What should I upload? What should I upload?
Do you have a Monero, Chad?
I think there's a certain penguin logo that would fit quite nicely with.
Yeah, it's probably the same one in the profile picture. I'm already giving away for free.
It's got to be something a little more enticing, that people are going to want to look at.
Let's see. I probably get a picture of.
Maybe a picture of you, right? Because you never show your face, so if people want to pay to see it.
Oh, that's a good
Ain't nobody
point.
got that much XMR.
Oh, I got it.
How much you want to pay to see the real
I
Tuxsudo?
Let's see.
Let me ask you guys for XMR Bazaar, for the account creation, for the sign up, for the registration. What do you think of what they're doing here, where they're just asking for a username and a Monero address? What do you guys think of that as a way to log in? Just curious.
Honestly, you need tiers. It's the only logical way to do this, because you like a full anonymity tier, and you need to have it where vendors or purchasers or whatever can opt out of using like full anonymity exchange customers. But a vendor might be more than happy to accept payment from a fully anonymous user and mail it to wherever. But the other thing is having an account that can develop some kind of street cred is one of the most enticing aspects of this for like the lay person. I mean, most people have never used a dark market, and they don't realize just how high the trust factor on the dark market actually is. But that's what sketches them out. So you want to have the option to, just like an eBay seller, a lot of people will only use somebody that other people have vouched for. And then there's the question of, are those just random anonymous accounts vouching for these people, or are these people that have done business with a lot of people that are vouching for them? I mean, it's as much of a hassle as it would be on the back end to create all of these things. Like, it really does need a tier system. And if you want to follow the ethical principles of allowing anonymous people to buy a loaf of bread or whatever, it has to be available. So that's my 2 cents.
I've been on darknet market, but I've never purchased anything from there because I've not had any reason to.
I have never ever purchased anything on a dark wink marketplace.
A dark wink market?
A free
yeah,
market.
I like being able to only have to start with username, but email is an option. I think that's the best, honestly. Because some people want to.
What do you say, Tux?
I think username and email as optional is the best, because like not everybody wants that, but some people do. Some people want emails or an ability to reset their password like that. So I think it's great to have it.
Well, but what do you think of this idea of using the Monero address as essentially your password? Because that's what you just did here when you logged into HushPix.
That's what I did.
Yeah, basically your Monero address becomes your password.
I hope that's not an address you posted publicly elsewhere. See, this is the problem. This is one of the issues with it.
I guess I didn't even pay attention to it. Let me look. I'm gonna go into
log out, log back in.
Like that Monero address becomes your password.
Register.
I mean, I would say just finish the thing and then create a new Monero wallet.
Literally, that's so funny because it doesn't say. It doesn't tell you that. It doesn't tell you that. Here, I'll go ahead and I'll log out. Log out.
Well, no, just finish what you're doing and then just move all your Monero to a different wallet.
The image that I'm uploading, if I can find where it went.
So I guess that answers my question. Maybe it is something we don't want to do. I thought it was kind of cool doing it that way.
As long as you're not Tuxsudo and sharing your address publicly, you're fine.
Let's see the first person who can figure out Tuxsudo's password.
No, I made a new one just for that. I made a
Okay.
new one for that. And I honestly don't care if somebody wants to log in.
You should know he's way more paranoid than that, Doug. He's
Yeah,
got,
it is so bad.
he's
So
got
anyway,
burner
this is the
wallets
image
and burner
this
phones
is the
and burner
image that I'm going to put up.
PCs.
This is Monero Chan spitting facts. Only idiots keep Monero centralized exchanges.
Oh, you can't tell us, man. You can't show us the image.
No,
I guess this is
I
what
didn't
you
make
said it
this.
was.
See,
You can see it for free. I didn't make it. I'm not going to steal
I'm gonna
money from over
I'm
me.
gonna log in as
I'll make it-
Tuxsudo and then take pictures of ads for like marijuana and post them on there under Tuxsudo, so that if the law comes after me, it'll be under his account.
I better modify my account information. I may have shown the whole address. I don't know, maybe just barely. Who can type it in quick enough? We're gonna make it as like super cheap, okay? Because I didn't make this image. I don't know who made that.
Yeah.
So you could make
We'll
it.
find a way to
increase,
donate it to the original artist or
the
something.
payment
1
amount to
Monero.
make the image more expensive each time someone's paid. Each time someone pays, that's cool. Increment amount. Payment expiration, you can make it expire. So it'll expire at 48 hours. Submit. Oh, it must be at least 001. All right. Submit. So there you go. And now if I open this in like a tab I'm not logged into, here, how about I log out? Let's log out real quick.
Bawdy should use this for his charts.
Oh wait, sorry, you can't even see the
wanna
tab.
see his-
I forgot. I wasn't showing it. There we go. Yeah, so it's made its listing for 0.001 Monero. And if I log out, then yeah, it looks like that. Let's log back in. Yeah, you're right. There it is. There it is, guys. There it is.
It's kind of
pretty,
cool.
It's what I like about
cool.
this idea, though, for if we did it for XMR Bazaar, well, it does make account creation super simple, right? And then you've now associated a Monero wallet with the user right off the bat. And then I was thinking it would be cool to maybe award users of XMR Bazaar with like micropayments as they take actions on the website. So as they post comments on listings, or as they fill out their profile, they'll get sent micropayments.
You know where that would make the most sense, Doug, is when people are filling a request that's been posted for like people requesting a certain thing be available in Monero. They can put up a certain amount of money, and then on the first delivery of such a thing, like they get the bounty for having provided the service. That would be pretty cool.
Yes, we spoke about
so
that.
like
kind of a Kickstarter for items and services in Monero.
So like I say I want raw egg. I say I want like fresh eggs, and I'm willing to pay 30 Monero for them, and somebody comes and fills that order and collects that. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Yeah, like a bounty. And the thing is I think that would keep you outside of the purview of like a full-blown custody, where if somebody were freely giving away Monero to see a bounty filled, you would not be a custodian for an exchange so much as you would be a person, just like, any other donation platform works, where you're not a custodian just because you're holding Monero or whatever for the purposes of filling a bounty. And then that could also be how you pay for the maintenance of the website, like 0.1 or like 0.5% or whatever of all bounties fulfilled, that goes to the maintenance of the website. But you just try to make it where you stay out of the exchanges, but you on the service side of things, that's where you pay for the maintenance of the website.
Yes.
Interesting. Well, I guess
so. What I got to ask you then. So, Tux, now that you logged it, what do you think of this as a potential way to register, create accounts in XMR Bazaar? This method.
By using the address as the password.
Yeah.
I mean, it forces people to have a really, really, really long password. But so I can show you this. It doesn't show the full thing. You can show
90 characters, isn't it?
I changed it. Yeah, so it forced people to have like an unrootable password for the most part. But I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
Is it bad ops? Is it bad like security?
Maybe like a hash of your address or something.
If the address is like if you accidentally share it, if you accidentally show it, right? This should be something you should be able to show. If you accidentally show it, share it. Oh, crap! I didn't realize that wasn't my HushPix password. Then I would rather be able to just set passphrases. Passphrases are incredibly secure. That's what I do for my instead of just regular random characters. Interesting, but clearly I wasn't paying attention, and at the same time, it doesn't say, "Hey, that's your password." It just says handle Monero address. I was like, when I was registering, I was like, "Oh, it wants my XMR address." I was expecting password to be somewhere down here, or to send me a confirmation email or something. That never happened. Even though you guys are probably just talking about that, and I wasn't even listening.
What I do for passwords is always just use KeyPass, the password manager, and then I generate like 64 character passwords for everything that I can.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to do it. I do passphrases with Bitword.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I do think it's slick though. It's slick. I like it. I'm trying to make the login as slick as possible.
People have good passwords. It forces people to. I wonder if, let's say, I try to make an account with you can't see the full thing still. Haha. What if I did like 1, 2, 3, 4? You know. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's gonna make sure it's. I could probably put something fake though, I imagine, because you said Monero's 96 characters, right? So let's say I generate
unless it's actually checking for the characteristics of Monero address.
Let's do only alphanumeric and right. Okay. Oh wait, no.
Is it 90 or 96?
No, I think it's using a block explorer to check and see.
No, not that quickly.
You don't think so?
No way, not that quickly.
Yeah, that's a good point. That would be a lot of computing power.
Monero address count. 95. Close. Very close. Let's try 95. And let me put like an 8 on the front because that means it's a sub address. 95.
Yeah, that will definitely work then. Because how else would it be?
Copy, paste. I'm going to remove the V at the beginning and put an 8 there.
8.
No. What did I...
Are you sure you didn't paste on top of not completely deleted?
No, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Weird. I don't know. Is there a certain pattern or something? Or maybe I'll just reload the page. I don't know.
All right.
Maybe it's like
are there other characteristics to a Monero address?
Oh wait, hold on. Standard format addresses are 95 characters starting with a 4. Integrated addresses are 106 characters. That's a sub address, right? Let me just remove that and do a 4. I don't know. I don't remember. So I'm looking at this. Standard address, 95 characters start with 4. Oh, second character can only be a number 0 to 9 or letters A or B. Okay. So there's some specific... All right, let me try again.
4A.
Oh, where did that page go? There we go. Yeah, 4A. 4B? No.
No? Okay. Well, there must be some sort of pattern that it's not getting that is a Monero address.
I mean, how sure are you that they're not running a block explorer for like compilation of addresses ahead of time and they're comparing it to a database?
Oh, I mean, that's true. Like, potentially. That seems like a lot of work for that, though.
But a Monero address isn't in a block explorer until the very first time it ever transacts. So if I was to create a new wallet right now,
that's true,
and then go to sign up for it, then it wouldn't be in any block explorer because it never received a transaction.
That's true.
Anarchia would figure this out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a mystery.
That, and from my understanding, the address is never public anyway because it's using the ring signatures and stuff. Ring signatures and ring.
Well, it still exists, and it can still be like you can still see Monero addresses. It's impossible to decipher like what they might actually be up to because everybody
what actual transactions they were a part of.
Oh, okay.
And then
Cool.
waiting through the bajillion Monero addresses. I mean, I can't even tell you how many Monero addresses for all kinds of crap I've had in my life. And there's just, I mean, to try to comb through such volume would be absolutely ludicrous.
Tux, was that the last news story?
Yep.
I think there was one more with the guy. Do you have the congressman, like the senator that got
which senator?
The one that got bribed in gold.
Yes, yeah. I just want to bring that story up because I think it's very appropriate. I mean, he's probably like one of these guys that would sign on to Senator Warren's legislation, right, bill?
I didn't see a link to it.
Against money laundering, against I'm not sure. He's from Jersey. What's his name? You just quick Google.
I did hear about that. I do remember.
I do see that P2 Pool version 3.7 was released 0.3 days ago.
Yo, is that a 50 gold back?
Upgrade your P2 Pool.
Man just casually shows a 50 gold back.
Yeah, so this senator was getting paid off in gold and cash. He was getting paid by like.
Which is funny because he was rooting for anti-crypto stuff, right?
Well, I don't know if he was, but I think it's just a great example. We all know that gold could be used for these purposes, cash can be used for these purposes. So any arguments to make more egregious laws for crypto for purposes of preventing money laundering and things like that is just complete
Lambos
BS.
Can be used. Lambos can be used for this purpose.
Hookers,
right?
Menendez.
Yes, Bob Menendez. Right, but I'm sure if you were to have spoken to this guy a month or so ago before it was exposed that he was a complete crook, I'm sure publicly he would have his opinions of something like Monero would be, oh, I don't know, it's untraceable. It could be used for money laundering. It could be used for this. It could be used for that. And here he was getting paid off with good old traditional gold and cash. So the hypocrisy is just
amazing,
out of control. Amazing with these characters. Yeah,
he's a high roller, man.
So there you go, guys. Your representatives looking out for your best interests. All right, let's close it out there. I gotta move on with my day. I'm sure you guys do too.
All right, thanks for coming on, guys. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the